Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Snapper TRX here with what is going to be one of the last videos I'm going to do with regards to these particular Keltec firearms. I do hope to purchase more in the future, but I've already done a few videos with these ones, and I figured I'd give another update since I spent a little bit more time at the range with these guys, gave them a proper cleaning, and threw a few accessories on them. Now, I will make one more video after this one, only because I found a range not too far away that will allow me to rapid fire, as opposed to the range I typically go to, which only allows one shot every 2 seconds. So I'd like to put these guys through their paces and just see what happens. I mean, one shot every 2 seconds, not much can go wrong, but when you blow through 30 rounds quickly, well, I guess it kind of is a bit more of a stress test. Now, all of these guns have been cleared, no magazines, no ammo nearby, so let's get started. Now I'm going to start off with the PMR 30. If you remember, I called this thing the Weeb Cannon because it has a very sci-fi / anime look. And very much like a sci-fi or anime, holding 30 rounds of 22 Magnum, it seems sometimes like you never have to reload. It still gets a little bit tiring emptying 2 or 3 magazines of this thing at the range, but it's still crazy fun. The fireball that comes out of the barrel of this thing, the noise, and the accuracy just make it a great handgun. I know some people on YouTube, on some other PMR videos I watch, claim they carry this. I don't know that I would do that. I probably would if I stripped it down. So, since the last video I made, I went ahead and added this ADE red dot, which is actually green. And I threw this Firearms combination laser light on there. Now, I like the laser light. I like the finger controls. They're very easy to reach. But I will likely replace this with something a bit more expensive like a Holosun, hoping it's a little bit lighter and a bit more rugged. This one, a little on the heavy side. It tends to pull the front of the gun down. And even though it's got a metal housed body and it can take a little bit of a beating, I don't think it's even water resistant. I think if you get any kind of water near this thing, it seeps into the battery compartment and pretty much kills the thing. Now, funny thing, there's a little tab in between the mounting rails here that you're supposed to place into the slots of the Picatinny rail. When I did that, this actually ended up a bit more forward on the gun than I liked. So I pulled that thing out and I slid this back just a little bit more, so it was easier for my finger to reach. And of course, while firing at the range, this guy took a jump off and ended up on the range. So I put that back on and I put this back on there, so there's a little bit more gap there than I like, but it's tolerable. As for the red dot, I know a lot of people say that these are game changers, that once you go to a red dot, you'll never go back. Yeah, maybe I need a little bit more practice. I'm just not a huge fan of the red dot. Maybe on another gun, maybe not on this gun. To me, I mean, no matter what, you still have this little tiny window you're always having to try and look through to find your dot. Whereas with the PMR 30 at least, these iron sights, these high-vis fiber optic sights are incredible. When you're outdoors, they are so easy to pick up and so easy to look through and find your target. It's beautiful. But I can see some advantages to having the red dot. Maybe not if I was carrying, again, if I was going to carry this, I would probably strip it down, take the light off, take the red dot off. I mean, admittedly, if you get into a situation where you need to pull your gun, I doubt your first shots are going to be through any kind of red dot or even your iron sights. They're probably going to be quick and from the hip as much as possible. And then if things proceed any further, then you're probably going to want to rely on your iron sights or your red dot or even your laser. But I don't know. I'm not carrying this yet, so I guess I'm not really concerned about it. Now, I was planning on getting a couple of the M-Carbo upgrades for this thing, most notably the slide release. Now, if I remember right, you're not supposed to use the slide release to drop the slide on this guy. I've seen a lot of people do it. I don't see why. I know they don't recommend it for the P17, but I've seen a lot of people do that with the PMR. Even though you're not supposed to, it would be nice to have something just a bit bigger that you can grab onto with your thumb there. I mean, even just locking the slide back, you know, this thing's so small, it's kind of crazy. Also, the safety, they make a larger safety. That would be nice. I've practiced drawing on this thing a few times, and the safety is easier to reach if you're going to practice, but something just slightly bigger that the thumb could get onto. Let's see if I can, yeah, something a little bit bigger for your thumb to grab onto would be really, really nice. Now, M-Carbo also makes an aluminum trigger, but I don't think I'm too concerned about the trigger. I like this trigger. The shape is nice, and it feels really good. It works really well. I don't see any reason to replace it. And then, of course, there's a couple of other upgrades they make with the polished steel feed ramp. I don't know that I would really need that. I mean, I know they're supposed to help with fail to feeds, but I've loaded and reloaded the magazines on this thing over and over in practice so that now I can pretty much load them quickly. And when I took this out to the range last week, I had 0 failure to feeds, and that was probably through 4 or 5 fully loaded magazines, full 30-round magazines. I've kind of gotten to the point now where as I'm loading a magazine, I can tell if a round is not seated properly, and so I'll just pop that round or maybe 2 or 3 rounds back out and reload them, and the thing has worked fine. M-Carbo also makes an upgrade for this mag release, which I don't know that I really need it. I haven't had any problems with the magazine seating. Now, what I did do is when I went to Keltec, now I'm going to pull up a loaded magazine here, but it's not going to be inserted into the gun. And I got these little magazine end caps that kind of help keep the magazine seated a little bit better. This little hook here kind of covers the bottom of the magazine release so you can't accidentally bump it, I guess, with your palm. Honestly, I don't see how you could, right? If you're holding this thing, I don't see how you can accidentally hit that mag release with your palm. I guess for some people, maybe with bigger hands, that's the case, but I just don't see how it can happen. But that's what that does. And this makes it a little bit easier to grab the magazine and pull it out when you're doing a mag change. For a little while, I kind of considered dumping these things because the factory mags work really well. The little hook on the front makes it really easy to pull the magazines out. But after using these a bit more, I kind of like them. I mean, it works a little bit quicker. You got a little bit more meat on there to pull that magazine out. So I'll probably invest in more of these. Now, M-Carbo is also making stainless steel magazines for the PMR and CMR as opposed to the factory polymer ones, but at $75 a pop, I don't know that I'll buy any more than 1 or 2. I definitely want 1 just for testing. More than that, I don't know. So from that, let's move on to the next one. So now let's talk about the old P17. Now this is also a very, very fun gun. I really like the feel of it. I mean, for its size and everything, it's very compact. It's easy to hold. 17 rounds, 16 plus 1 in the magazine. Very, very nice. I did add this solar fish combination light laser, which I do really like, but I don't like the fact that it's all plastic, and I don't know that if I carry this gun, I don't know that I'll keep the laser light on there. Now, what I ended up doing was buying this small holster from Tactical Defense, and it works really well without the laser on it. Now, I could buy a bigger one. I like this. You can tuck it in your waistband. You can tuck it outside your waistband, around whatever side you want. With the laser off, The P17 tucks into this thing just fine, and you can barely, I mean, you can't really see it once it's under your shirt, but I'm wondering how this thing will fit into a larger version of this holster and what it would feel like to try and draw. I don't want this getting snagged on anything or anything like that, but I'm going to buy a larger holster and check it out. Now, the P17 has been really fun to shoot. I haven't had any major problems with it, but I have had a continued problem with a failure to eject, where a spent casing gets jammed up underneath the slide as a new round is coming up from the magazine. Now, it doesn't happen often. The last time I went to the range, I had one instance where that happened. Beyond that, every other shot I fired from this thing was perfect, dead on. Zero recoil, again, very compact. Love this paddle magazine release. I kind of wish they had done something like that for the PMR, but they didn't. I would highly recommend getting one of these if you can, if anything, because it's a cheap gun to shoot. I mean, I bought this for less than, actually I think I paid a little bit more than $200 for this particular firearm because it's in the OD green, but 22 LR is cheap, and you can go out and play all day with this thing. Although, again, it comes with 3 magazines, and loading those guys up to fire them is a bit of a time-consuming process, but it's very, very fun. Unfortunately, I missed out. Keltec was having a Christmas deal where you could buy a kit that comes with the red dot slide for the P17, along with a couple of magazines and some other little accessories. I wasn't able to pick that up. And given the fact that I'm not 100% sure I like the red dot on the PMR, I don't know that I would go with the red dot on the P17. If anything, I'll give it a try. It seems like with the holster that I have here, the red dot would be a lot better option than the laser, because I could use this with the red dot. The way the red dot sits up here on the slide, right? Once I put that guy in there, that would be perfect. The red dot would have no problems being pushed in and out of this thing. I'm actually looking at purchasing one of these for my wife because she likes to take walks and things like that. And in Florida, you know, there's some critters around, not just loose neighborhood dogs, but we do have panthers. I found out we have panthers here in Florida. Alligators, of course, which I don't know that this do a lot of good against alligator, but you dump 16 rounds of 22 into something and it's going to hurt. Also, bobcats and coyotes and things like that. So I think this would be a good something for her just to carry around. I haven't had any of the other issues that anyone's complained about. I haven't had the safety pop off or anything. I did have to readjust the sights a little bit again for elevation, but for windage I put some Loctite, blue Loctite on this little screw here. That has not backed out. I think it backed out once before, one of the first times I took it to the range. I haven't had a problem with the barrel, with the thread protector popping off. I had a problem with that, but that was my fault. I didn't tighten this down very well, so not the last time I went to the range, but the time before, I was getting a lot of failure to ejects because this guy was kind of moving forward and this wasn't setting properly. But overall, I like this gun a lot. I will definitely start making this my everyday carry. Even though it's 22, a lot of people say don't carry 22, but again, you put 5 or 6 rounds of 22 into someone. First of all, the sound of actually being shot at is going to do something, but a plethora of holes also does a great job. So if you can find one of these, you can get the ones in black for sub $200. I would highly recommend it. Now, lastly, let's talk about the CMR 30. This is a great rifle. I love this rifle. Again, it shares magazines with the PMR 30, so 30 rounds of 22 Magnum. It is light, it is compact, It would make a great truck or backpack gun, but it's just a great gun all the way around. I enjoy shooting it. It's accurate. Now, at the range, I did have an issue where I was getting some failure to feeds, and I kind of blamed that on the fact that I had not cleaned this gun before I took it to the range. And so it seems like when you're charging it, it would kind of get kind of sticky towards the back there. In fact, it kind of feels like that right now. But after my last range trip, I went ahead and cleaned it using the Keltec recommended Lucas Contact Cleaner and CLP. And I'm hoping my next day out at the range, I won't have that problem. So I went ahead and put the mock suppressor and muzzle brake on here. So again, this is not a suppressor. This is a barrel shroud with an integrated muzzle brake. So this does do something. This is just metal covering the barrel. The barrel actually extends all the way out to here. And I've had to explain that to the guys at the range, and they're cool about it. I just had to prove it to them one time that the barrel's a full 16-inch barrel, and they were fine with it. I just like how it looks. Again, I don't want to have to deal with tax stamps or the government at all, but I like the look of a suppressor, so I went ahead and bought this suppressor, and I love it. It looks fantastic. I went ahead and put the same Fiachi laser light combo on here that I have on the PMR, and this will likely be replaced as well with the Holosun, but I'm thinking of going with a top-mounted laser light combo. I'm not sure what the form factor is called. It's one of those little square ones. It comes with a remote button you can also put on the top rail or any other rail that you can click on and off. And I'll probably get rid of this and maybe throw a bipod on here, only because being a rifle and .22 Magnum, if you want to shoot at long ranges, 100 or 200 yards, it's nice to have something to sit on. So if I put a bipod down here, I'm going to have to move the laser and light. Not a big deal. When I was at Keltec, I went ahead and bought this official Keltec angled foregrip with the same kind of gator grip pattern on it. And I've seen a lot of guys that have the vertical foregrips on here. I prefer this. It feels a bit more compact in the hands. It still feels very stable. It wasn't very expensive, so I'm glad that I bought that. And then I went ahead and threw my Cabela's 3X prismatic scope on here. This thing lights up red or green if you turn the dial here, but under normal circumstances, it's just a black reticle. I like it. I may not keep it on here, though. I may go with something a bit more high-powered. 3X is good, but again, if you're going to shoot something at 100 to 200 yards, it might be nicer to have something with a bit more power. But for the price, I mean, this thing is great. I don't think I even paid $200 for it. I don't think I even paid $150 for it on sale, but it's very clear, it's easy to set up, and the red and green options are really, really bright and stand out. Now this is another gun that I would like to take to the range and rapid fire. The only downside that I really have with this gun is the cleaning process. So the cleaning process is very much like the PMR in that you have to knock this pin out, this retaining pin out, and then you pull this whole section back and off, and then you take the bolt and everything out from between the stock here. And it's not really time consuming, but it is kind of a pain in the butt. Being 22, I would prefer to clean this thing after I take it to the range, probably every time, just because of how much brass is left over in it. And doing that, it takes a lot of work. Again, that's my only downside, but I would highly recommend, if you have not shot this rifle, find one, shoot it, buy one if you can. I think I paid $650 for this one, and let's see, the shroud was less than $100. The light, of course, I mean, this thing was probably $30, not a big deal. It comes with the pop-up M-Bus sights, front and rear, which is a good deal. And I mean, just the options you have to size this thing. I'm going to replace my wife's rifle with one of these. It's going to do great as far as fitting her. It's going to be a lot lighter and a lot easier on the recoil. You know, we're no spring chickens. We're getting a bit older, so your big guns are a bit more difficult to lug around and shoot. But this one is amazing. I would highly recommend it. Go visit Keltec's webpage, get some information on it. I think I got this one by doing a search on gun.deals, and I don't regret it. I absolutely adore this thing. Well, not adore. I like it. I like it a lot. Okay, so once again, the final video on these particular firearms. I won't do another video past the rapid fire once I get out to the range with that, which may be a couple of weeks. But I won't do any other videos on these particular guns unless something major happens. Again, I went ahead and bought the recommended Lucas cleaning products that Keltec recommends. If you're going to own these guns, I recommend getting these specifically because the extreme duty contact cleaner is safe for Cerakote. So it won't damage your finish on any of these guns. That's the main reason I bought it. So I had to get it off of Walmart's website because I couldn't find it anywhere nearby, but highly recommend it. My next Keltec purchase hopefully will be the KSG shotgun, and once I get that, we'll go ahead and make a video on that one too. So thanks again for checking in. If you have any questions or anything, just post them down in the comments, and we'll catch you later.